Mara walked quickly through the busy corridors of the space station. She had been working here for months, fixing machines and helping the merchants deliver their goods. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and most of the aliens barely noticed her. She liked it that way. It gave her space to move and work quietly. Today the station was crowded. Traders and travelers from many worlds filled the halls. Bright lights reflected off the metal walls, and strange alien sounds echoed everywhere. Mara was carrying a small crate of tools when she noticed a commotion near the main gate. A group of security drones hovered, scanning the crowd, and several aliens were whispering and pointing. Then she saw him. A small alien boy, no taller than a human child, was trapped near the gate. He looked scared. His scales shimmered in soft blue and green, and his large eyes darted back and forth. He did not understand what was happening, but Mara knew he needed help. She could have ignored him. Many humans would have stayed back, hidden in the crowd. But something inside her did not allow that. She dropped her crate and ran toward him. "Come on," she said softly, reaching for his tiny hand. The boy hesitated. He had never trusted humans before. But Mara's voice was calm and she smiled. That seemed enough. He let her take his hand and they started moving away from the gate. The security drones were scanning everyone and the crowd was getting nervous. Some aliens were pushing, trying to get past. Mara felt the fear rising in the boy, and it made her heart beat faster. She could see that he was very small, very fragile compared to the others. Suddenly, a sharp warning sounded. The drones began to activate their containment protocols. A wave of energy ran through the hall and Mara froze. The boy squeezed her hand, trembling. Mara thought quickly. She stepped in front of him, shielding him with her body. She did not know what the drones would do, but she could not let him face it alone. His eyes widened in surprise and he tried to pull her back. "It's okay," Mara said firmly. "I'll protect you. Just hold my hand." Time seemed to slow. The boy looked at her with trust he had never shown anyone. Mara felt a strange warmth spread through her chest. She had no idea what would happen next, but she knew she had made the right choice. The drone's lights flashed brighter and the crowd gasped. Mara could feel a buzzing energy around them, but she stayed still. She focused only on keeping the boy safe. She did not think about herself. Then everything went silent. The sound of the crowd faded. The buzzing energy vanished. Mara blinked, confused. She was no longer holding the boy, and she was lying on a soft surface she did not recognize. The lights were calmer, and the smell of the busy station was gone. A soft voice spoke nearby. "She is awake." Mara turned her head slowly. She saw the alien boy sitting quietly watching her. He looked calm now, almost as if nothing had happened. But something had changed. She felt it in her body. A tingling sensation ran through her arms and legs. She looked down and gasped. Her skin, it was different. Small, shimmering patterns were appearing like the boy's scales, but softer and lighter. She touched her arm carefully. The patterns moved slightly under her fingers, warm and gentle. Mara did not feel pain. She only felt strange wonder. The boy smiled at her. Not in fear, not in panic, but with understanding. Mara could not speak at first. Her mind was full of questions. How had this happened? Why her? Why now? She tried to stand and the boy helped her. His small hand was strong and steady. Mara noticed that she could feel the world differently, almost as if she could sense the energy around her. She could feel the walls, the soft floor, even the faint hum of distant machines. "Are you okay?" she finally whispered. The boy nodded. "Yes, you saved me." "That is why." His words trailed off, but his meaning was clear. Her choice had made a difference. It had made a connection, something neither of them fully understood yet. Mara sat back down, looking at her hands. The scales shimmered softly, reflecting the light in gentle colors. She smiled, realizing that she had never felt so alive. She had faced fear and done the right thing, and now something amazing had begun. The station outside would continue with its chaos and life would go on. But for Mara, nothing would ever be the same again. She had stepped forward for someone else, and in that moment she had become part of something greater than herself. The boy stayed close and Mara felt a sense of calm. She knew that the path ahead would be strange, full of unknown challenges. But she also knew one thing for certain. She would not turn away from the boy, and she would not turn away from what she had begun to become. The soft glow of her new scales pulsed gently, like a heartbeat she could feel in her chest. And for the first time in her life, Mara understood the meaning of courage. Not in fighting but in choosing to protect even when everything was uncertain. Mara opened her eyes slowly. The soft glow of her new scales caught her attention first. They shimmered in colors she had never seen before, soft blues and greens that shifted as she moved her fingers. She touched her arm carefully. The skin felt different, smooth but alive, as if it had a gentle pulse of its own. She sat up and looked around. The room was bright and clean, unlike the busy corridors of the station. Strange devices hummed softly along the walls, and a few alien figures moved quietly watching her. They were not threatening, their expressions were calm, almost curious. Mara's heart beat quickly, but she forced herself to stay calm. The boy was nearby, sitting cross-legged on a low platform. He watched her with wide eyes, but there was no fear in him. Instead, he seemed relieved, almost proud. Mara blinked, trying to make sense of everything. One of the aliens stepped closer. "She is awake," the figure said in a soft voice that Mara could understand clearly. Somehow, the words made sense without translation. "Your body has changed. You survived because of the boy's protection bond." Mara frowned. "Bond? What do you mean?" she asked. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, calm but uncertain. The alien nodded. "When you chose to protect him, your decision created a connection. His energy, it flowed into you. That is why your skin has changed." Mara looked down at her hands again. The shimmering scales were spreading slowly along her arms. She felt no pain, only warmth, like the sun on a quiet morning. A strange calm filled her mind. It was not frightening, it was beautiful. The boy moved closer, holding out his small hand. Mara hesitated for a moment, then took it. The warmth from his hand traveled up her arm, and she felt a strange bond, as if she could sense his heartbeat, his thoughts, his fear, and his trust all at once. "You saved me," the boy said softly. "That is why." His voice trailed off, but Mara understood. The energy between them was not magic or technology. It was something else. Something deeper. For hours the aliens observed her. They spoke in quiet tones, explaining that her body had adapted to a new kind of energy. Normally humans could not receive it without harm. But her courage, her choice to protect another being, had allowed the connection. Mara had been chosen, not forced. She tried to move her legs. Strength that she did not expect filled her muscles. She could feel the floor beneath her feet in more detail than ever before. Each vibration, each shift of weight felt alive. She could sense the gentle hum of machines, the soft currents of air, even the distant motion of the boy as he adjusted his position. Mara stood slowly, feeling lighter and stronger than before. The boy smiled, and she realized she could sense his emotions clearly. Excitement, curiosity, relief. She had never felt this way with any human before. This connection was new, strange, and wonderful. One of the aliens approached again. "You will learn to control this connection," they said. "It is rare and it cannot be undone. But it is a gift, given because of your selfless choice." Mara nodded slowly. She was still trying to understand everything. A gift. The boy's life had depended on her courage, and now she carried part of him inside her, in ways she could not yet name. Time passed differently in the chamber. Days perhaps, though Mara could not be certain. She practiced moving, sensing the energy around her, and slowly she began to feel more comfortable in her new form. Her scales shimmered softly, but they did not cover her completely. They were a sign, a connection, not a replacement. The boy stayed close. He spoke little, but his presence was reassuring. Mara realized that she was not alone in this transformation. Together they had created something that neither fully understood yet. At night the chamber was quiet. Mara looked at her hands again, tracing the delicate patterns of the scales. She remembered the fear in the boy's eyes at the station and the choice she had made. She had acted without thinking of herself, and now she had become something extraordinary. Her thoughts drifted to the station outside, to the busy corridors she had walked before. People would continue their lives, unaware of the bond she shared with the boy, unaware of the change that had begun. Mara did not feel regret. She felt pride, courage, and a strange joy. She had done what humans often did not. She had chosen to protect another being, even when it was difficult, even when it was unknown. The boy looked up at her and smiled again. Mara smiled back. She could feel the connection, subtle but strong, like a quiet thread tying them together. She knew that her life had changed forever. She would not fully understand what this meant yet, but she understood the truth of it. Her courage had created something greater than herself, and she would carry that bond wherever she went. As she lay down to rest, the soft glow of her scales pulsed gently like a heartbeat. She closed her eyes, feeling the boy's presence and the calm energy that now lived within her. And for the first time, Mara understood that being human was more than a body. It was the choice to protect, to care, and to stand brave when no one else would. Her journey had only begun, and the galaxy outside waited. Mara woke early to soft light filtering through the chamber. The scales on her arms and shoulders glowed faintly, reflecting the calm brightness of the room. She stretched and felt a quiet energy moving through her body, warm and steady. It was no longer surprising or strange, it had become a part of her. The boy was already awake, sitting cross-legged near the edge of the platform. He looked at her with curiosity as if he could read her thoughts. Mara smiled. She could sense his feelings more clearly now, quiet happiness, a little excitement and trust. The bond between them had grown stronger. An alien figure entered the room, carrying a small device that hummed softly. Today, it said, we will observe the connection you share. You will learn to sense the boy's energy more clearly. Mara nodded. She had questions, of course, but she was eager to understand. The boy extended his hand and Mara reached for it. Immediately she felt a current, subtle but alive. It was like a soft wind brushing against her mind. She could feel his heartbeat, his breathing, even his tiny shifts in thought. She gasped softly. The bond was real and it was deeper than she had imagined. You are learning quickly, the alien said. This bond is rare. Normally, only your kind would never survive the energy transfer. Your courage made it possible. Mara looked down at her hands at the gentle shimmer of the scales. I didn't think about what would happen to me, she said softly. I just wanted to keep him safe. The boy smiled faintly. He did not need words. She could feel his gratitude, his relief, and the quiet trust he placed in her. It made Mara's heart swell. This connection was not about power, not about strength. It was about choice, care, and courage. Over the next hours, Mara practiced sensing the boy's presence. When he moved slightly, she felt a ripple in the air. When he shifted his attention, she felt a pull in her mind. At first, it was confusing, but gradually she learned to distinguish small changes in his energy from the rest of the world. It was as if she could feel him even when he was silent. You are learning, the alien observer said. You may feel frightened, but remember, your choice created this. You are stronger than you know. Mara nodded. She realized that the bond was teaching her patience. She could not force it, rush it, or demand more than it could give. It was a partnership, a quiet connection that required respect and care. She had protected the boy with her body before. Now she was learning to protect him with her mind and her heart. As the day passed, Mara noticed small changes. She could sense subtle movements in the chamber, even faint energy traces left by other aliens. Her senses felt sharper, more aware, but never overwhelming. The scales on her arms seemed to pulse gently in rhythm with the boy's heartbeat, a constant reminder of their link. The boy began to trust her more openly. He would walk closer, smile when she approached, and sometimes touch her arm lightly. Each time he did, Mara felt a spark of warmth, a confirmation of their connection. It was unlike anything she had ever known, a quiet understanding that required no words. Later, she sat on the platform with him, holding his hand in both of hers. She could feel the curiosity flowing from him, the wonder he had for the world around him. She understood that he had been afraid before, not just of the station but of being alone, of being misunderstood. Her choice to protect him had changed everything. Mara realized something important. The bond was not just about her learning from the boy. She was teaching him too by showing calm, courage, and patience. Her presence reassured him, allowed him to explore safely, and helped him trust again. In return, he shared with her a world of feelings and awareness she had never experienced. The alien observer watched silently, occasionally making notes. The human's connection is growing stronger, it said. She is learning the subtle art of empathy beyond her kind. This is rare. Very rare. Mara looked at the boy and smiled. She felt proud, not because she had powers or new abilities, but because she had chosen to act with kindness when it mattered most. She had stepped forward, not knowing what would happen, and now she could share a bond unlike any other. Night came and the chamber dimmed. Mara lay down on a soft surface, still holding the boy's hand. The gentle glow of her scales pulsed with a calm rhythm. She could feel his presence even as he slept, a quiet reassurance that they were connected. Before closing her eyes, Mara thought about the choice she had made at the station. She had acted instinctively without thinking of herself. And now, in this quiet room far from danger, she understood the true meaning of her actions. Courage was not just facing danger, it was choosing to care for someone else, even when it was uncertain, even when it was unknown. The boy shifted slightly in his sleep, and Mara felt a soft pulse run through her arm. She smiled. The bond was growing slowly but surely. She did not yet know where it would lead, but she knew that together, they could face whatever came next. Mara closed her eyes, letting the calm energy wash over her. She felt connected not just to the boy, but to something greater, something that reminded her that humans could be more than ordinary. That one act of courage, one choice to protect, could create bonds and possibilities beyond imagination. And for the first time, Mara understood that the hidden strength of humans was not in their weapons or machines, but in their hearts. Mara woke to the soft hum of the chamber. The boy was already awake, sitting quietly near the edge of the platform, watching her with his large, curious eyes. The scales on her arms and shoulders glimmered faintly, reflecting the calm light. Today felt different. She could sense it even before stepping out of the chamber. The alien observers had gathered outside. Their expressions were serious. Mara felt a quiet tension in the air, but she did not panic. The bond she shared with the boy gave her confidence. She had faced fear before, and now she understood that courage was not just about surviving, it was about standing for what was right. One of the alien figures approached. "There is unrest on the station," it said. "Some species wish to take advantage of your connection. They believe it can be used as a tool or weapon. You must choose how to respond." Mara's heart beat faster. She thought of the station corridors, the busy merchants, the travelers, and the humans who had never understood her. But most of all she thought of the boy. He trusted her. She could not allow anyone to harm him, or anyone else, just to satisfy curiosity or desire for power. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, feeling the soft pulse of the scales on her skin. The boy's presence beside her gave her strength. She could feel his calm, his trust, his understanding. It was like holding a thread of light in her hands, and she would not let it break. Outside the chamber, the station was buzzing with whispers. Aliens of many species watched her with interest. Mara could sense their curiosity, their doubt, and their expectation. Some wanted to see her controlled, confined, or used. But Mara had learned something important. Strength was not in obeying fear. Strength was in choosing courage and kindness. A representative of the council stepped forward. "Human," it said, "your bond with this boy is extraordinary. We wish to study it further. You could bring great advantage to your kind and ours." Mara shook her head firmly. "No. I did not protect him for advantage. I protected him because it was right. This bond is not a tool. It is trust, and I will not let anyone use it for power." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some aliens looked disappointed. Others seemed surprised. Mara stood her ground, feeling the warmth of the boy's hand in hers. She could sense his relief and pride. Together they were stronger than any words or threats. The council representative frowned. "You risked your life by refusing. Do you understand that?" "I understand," Mara said. "But I also understand something more. Courage is not about avoiding danger. It is about making choices that protect others, even when it is difficult. That is what I choose." The room grew quiet. Mara could feel the tension shift. The aliens had expected fear or hesitation. Instead they saw calm, courage, and quiet strength. Mara realized that humans could be underestimated, not because they were weak, but because their true power was in choice and empathy. The boy squeezed her hand. Mara felt a gentle pulse run through her scales. It was like a quiet affirmation, a bond stronger than any machine or weapon. She understood that their connection was more than energy, it was trust, and trust could not be taken or bought. It could only be given freely. Throughout the day Mara and the boy walked among the aliens carefully. Mara sensed when someone approached with curiosity, when another watched with doubt, and when a few tried to manipulate. She spoke gently, acted calmly, and moved with quiet confidence. The boy mirrored her calm. Together they showed that strength could be gentle and courage could be kind. The aliens began to realize something unexpected. Humans, they saw, did not need superior bodies or strange powers to be remarkable. Their strength came from choices, from empathy, and from the ability to act when no one else would. Mara had not shouted or fought. She had simply stood firm, protected the boy, and refused to be used. That was enough. By evening the tension on the station had eased. The whispers quieted, and the aliens began to respect her in ways Mara had not expected. She had faced a test of humanity and she had passed, not by force but by courage, choice, and care. As night fell, Mara and the boy returned to their chamber. She looked at the faint glow of her scales and smiled. The energy in her body was calm, steady, and alive. The boy sat close and she could feel his trust and comfort. Together they had faced not danger from weapons or machines, but danger from expectation, greed, and misunderstanding. Mara realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy outside was vast, full of challenges, but also full of possibilities. Humans could face tests not only with strength but with heart. And Mara had learned that her true power was not in what had changed on her skin, but in the courage that had always lived in her heart. As she lay down to rest, the boy beside her, the scales on her arms pulsed gently like a quiet heartbeat. Mara closed her eyes, feeling the calm energy flow through her. She knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but she also knew that she would face them with the same courage that had carried her here. The test of humanity had been passed. And Mara understood at last that human strength was not in fear or dominance, but in the quiet, powerful choice to protect, to care, and to stand brave when it mattered most. Morning light filled the chamber, soft and warm. Mara stretched and looked at the boy, who was already awake and sitting quietly watching her. The scales on her arms and shoulders shimmered gently, calm now, no longer spreading. They were a symbol of the bond they shared, a quiet reminder of what had begun. Today felt like a beginning. The station outside was still busy, filled with aliens of many species going about their routines. Mara could sense the hum of energy around her, but it no longer startled her. She had learned to move with calm and purpose, guided by the trust and connection she shared with the boy. The alien observers entered, smiling softly. "She has learned well," one said. "The bond is strong and it cannot be taken or copied. It is a gift given freely because of her choice." Mara nodded. She did not need to explain. The boy's presence beside her said more than words ever could. She had protected him, she had learned from him, and together they had created something rare and beautiful. A small message arrived from the station council. It said that the aliens who had wanted to control or study her would no longer interfere. Mara smiled quietly. The test was over. She had shown that humans could face challenges not by weapons or force, but by courage, empathy, and calm choice. The boy moved closer and held her hand. Mara felt the warmth and rhythm of his energy, familiar and comforting. She realized that their bond had changed them both. He had gained trust in others, and she had gained an understanding of something greater than herself. "Will you come back with me?" the boy asked softly. Mara looked at him, surprised. "I cannot leave the station," she said. "But I will always remember you and this bond will remain." He nodded. She could feel his acceptance and understanding. Their connection did not need to be tied to place. It existed wherever they were, in thought, in heart, and in the quiet pulse of the energy between them. Over the following days, Mara moved freely through the station. Aliens who had once doubted humans now looked at her with respect. They whispered to one another, sharing stories of her courage, her calm, and her careful protection of the boy. Humans were rare, and yet she had proven that rarity could carry strength beyond measure. Mara often thought of the boy's people, of the life he would return to. She could sense that he would be safe, that he would thrive. And she understood that her choice had made a difference not only to him, but to the station, to the aliens, and perhaps even to the galaxy. At night, she would rest in the quiet chamber, the scales on her arms glowing softly. She could still feel the boy's presence, even from a distance. It was not a tether or a chain, it was trust, respect, and shared courage. She realized that humans could create bonds stronger than any machine, stronger than any weapon, because their greatest power lay in choice, care, and bravery. One evening, as the station's lights dimmed for the quiet cycle, Mara stood near a large window overlooking the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before her, full of worlds, species, and possibilities. She thought of the boy, of the bond they shared, and of the choices she had made. She understood that humans could face the unknown with strength not just of body but of heart. She felt the scales on her arms, pulsing gently with warmth. They were a reminder of what courage and care could do. She did not need to be changed completely to be extraordinary. The small glow, the quiet pulse was enough. It was proof that humans could create wonder, respect, and connection without dominance or force. Mara knew that the story of the bond would spread quietly. Other species would learn that humans could stand calm in the face of expectation, that they could act with courage when others might hesitate, and that they could create strength through empathy. She understood that this was the essence of what humans could become. The boy returned to his people soon after, safe and happy. Mara watched him leave, feeling a mixture of sadness and pride. Their bond remained, unbroken by distance or time. She could sense him, faintly but clearly, a constant reminder of their shared courage. Mara rested that night with a calm smile. The scales glowed softly, the pulse steady. She knew that she had changed, but not entirely on the outside. The true change was inside her heart. Humans did not need alien powers to be extraordinary. They only needed courage, choice, and the willingness to protect others. As she looked out at the stars, Mara understood something profound. Humanity's greatest strength was not in what they could take or control, but in the quiet decisions that defined them. Protecting, caring, and standing brave, these were the marks of what humans could truly become. And Mara, glowing softly with the bond she had earned, knew she had become part of that story.